Today I'll take you through some comparisons of the new Nikon Z 24-70 zoom lens. This is the S2 version. This is Nikon's replacement lens for the older 24-70. They've made this lens a lot lighter along with several other improvements. I'll break it all down for you and why you might need to add this lens to your kit coming up. Hi, I'm Terry Vanderheiden, professional photographer. I shoot Nikon, so I've used the 24-70 2.8 zoom lens since it came out about 6 years ago. I just bought this new version of the 24-70 S2, and I bought it with my own money to add to my own kit. No one sent me this lens to test it or sponsored it in any way. One of the features I'll get into is the improved speed of the autofocus. A little later in this episode, I think I'll be able to show you how much faster the autofocus is. So you may want to stick around for that. Now, if you're a professional photographer and you shoot weddings or corporate events, you already own a 24-70. That's almost guaranteed. Most pros do, and it's possibly the most versatile and most used lens in your bag. You can get some tight shots with the 70mm length, but wide enough to get group shots. You just use this lens all the time. But now how about the rest of us? How do we use the technology of this lens for our nature and travel photography? Let me break down the features of this new Nikon Z 24-70 f2.8 S2 lens in case you want to add it to your kit. Now, first off, the new lens is lighter than the old version. The old model is 29.5 ounces, where this new lens comes in at 24.35 ounces. Now, if you're like me, I like to cook a lot, so I like to weigh things in grams. So the old 24-70 weighs 823 grams, while the new one weighs in at 691 grams. Now, this is definitely lighter, but that would not be enough for me to cough up $2,800 for a new lens just because it's lighter. Yes, the cost of this lens is about $2,800 for a 24-70 SI2 zoom lens from Nikon. Another slight downside for me is the filter size is now 77mm. While most people wouldn't care, all of my other lenses are 82mm filter size. Well, I could use a step-up ring, but I don't want to do that because I wouldn't be able to use the lens hood. So likely I'll be having to get another set of case magnetic filters for this lens. I really love those filters, and I'll just get another set that fits 77mm. Side by side, the S2 version is a bit taller, but this lens has internal zoom. So when we crank out the old version of the lens, it's actually longer. Zooms that move and extend like this can be problematic. I have a friend who has a zoom lens that just like this, that expands like this older version. And he was out on a commercial shoot and he didn't take into account the extra length of this lens. And he was going through a doorway, and he hit the edge of the lens here, and so that sudden pressure created a problem right here, so it no longer had contact with it, so he had to send in and get it repaired. So these longer lenses like this, when they zoom out like this, can be a problem, and that's another reason why the internal zoom is really a really cool thing. Now, logically, internal zooms are better for keeping dust and dirt and moisture out of your lens. They're not going to attach to this column that can attract debris and drag it down inside into the lens when the zoom's retracted. Also, if you have a rig on a gimbal, your centering weight doesn't change with the zoom, allowing you to balance your gimbal one time and then you're good to go. Internal zoom lenses are definitely a better design, no doubt. Now on the outside, you have your zoom ring and you have your focus ring. You also have a control ring. And it comes with a little switch that allows you to turn on clicks or off with the clicks, depending on how you want to use this. The thought on this gives you the option to hear the aperture when you're using it, or if you shoot video and you don't want to hear that sound, you can turn it off. The control ring is a bit of a conundrum for me. What's it used for? Now, I came from the old days of shooting where our aperture ring was always on the front, and that's how we changed the aperture. However, after shooting digital for so long, I'm conditioned to having in my index finger control the aperture. So you can program this ring however you want. And I programmed one time when I was shooting, not with this lens, but with a different one. I put it on ISO thinking that, oh, that'd be convenient. I can just change my ISO just by this, right? Well, the problem was that there were times where I was shooting an image at ISO 12,800 and I didn't even realize it because it was so easy to turn. So I haven't found a great use for it. So what's your experience with these programmable rings? Do you use them for anything? Let me know in the comments how you program your control rings, and maybe somebody can help me out and I can find a good use for that. I'm just not into the control ring, I guess. One feature I like about the S2 version is that focus is closer than the old one. Closer focus gives me more versatility. Now, if you're out shooting landscapes and you come across a detail you'd like to capture, then the ability to focus close will really be advantageous. If you're enjoying this kind of content, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon so you'll be notified when my next video is released. You can always reach me via email, terry@imagelight.com, or leave a comment. I read all the comments that come across on my videos. Internally, the Aperture Blades have changed from 9 blades to 11. With the added blades, you get a better looking starburst for those scenes when you're out and you want the sun poking through leaves and such. But what I noticed was how much better the flare control was. This one was shot with the older model 24-70, and this new one was shot the 24-70 S2. The additional lens coatings are really quite nice. Check out the difference. Also, the extra blades affect the bokeh. That's the area in the background that's out of focus and soft, and it's most noticeable when highlights are present. Here's the bokeh on the lens shot wide open at 2.8. The out of focus highlights are nice and round, and like they should be, and they kind of taper off to little footballs on the edges. But I think the bokeh on this lens looks pretty great. Now here's the real reason you may want to upgrade, even if you already have the older version of this lens, and that's autofocus. The autofocus is just faster. Nikon says it's 5 times faster than the old lens, and that I'm not too sure of, but I'll show you in my test what I found out. Nikon says this lens comes with SSVC motors, which is an acronym for Silky Swift Voice Coil Motors. I think that's a clever name, but it's the faster speed that I can appreciate, not necessarily what they named the motors. They are faster and quieter than the older motors in the previous version. How much quieter? Let's have a listen. My setup was an enclosed room, though not a soundproof room. If you listen closely, you might even hear some birds chirping outside at the bird feeder. The birds don't die on my sound recording schedule, unfortunately. I used a Sound Devices Mixpre 32-bit recorder hooked up to a Sennheiser MKH416 shotgun microphone set closely to the lens. It's a pretty sensitive microphone. I racked out the focus to infinity and used a remote, an MCN10 remote, to activate the autofocus without me touching the camera or making any other additional noise. Now, as you watch the test, you might want to put your headphones on to really hear the distinct differences. So check it out. What really is a standout on this test for me is the speed of the autofocus. When you see it with the sound, you can really tell how much faster the autofocus is. I also took a look at focus breathing. This is where the image changes size when the focus is moved, and it can be very noticeable in video shooting, so I like that it's very minimal on this lens. Lastly, Nikon added a little access window on the lens hood. This is great if you want to access a circular polarizer or a variable ND without having to take that lens hood off. Overall, my conclusion is that it's a very sharp, versatile lens that would complement anyone's arsenal of lenses. If you're shooting corporate events or weddings and you don't already have this lens, get it. You'll be happy you did. It's just so versatile for event shooting. For me, I take it when I travel, so I have some wide angle ability for my landscape images. I can shoot close-up shots. I can get pretty close if I zoom in to the closer subjects to make detailed panoramas or isolate something using that 70mm range. you can use it for portraits. Since 70 millimeters is a fantastic length for portraits, and even though it's not as fast as some prime lenses, the background is pretty nice and soft when shooting at 70 millimeters. That being said, this portrait here was shot at 39 millimeters, so you have versatility with this lens. Now, if you shoot video, you'll appreciate the fact that it's internal zooming lens, particularly if you shoot on a gimbal. Now, that's a big feature, especially if you're shooting real estate videos and you're zooming in and out all the time. I like it, so I'm going to keep it. Let me know in the comments if you're considering this lens. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.